It's white terrorism. White terrorism. White people committing terrorist acts because they've been gaslighted into doing so. Dyze in the house. Exclusively on Lee's Coast Radio. Mile journey begins with one step. Progressives took that step on November 6th. The journey's not over, but we took a step in the right direction.
If you don't know what Staten Island is, it's like New York's abortion that lived.
Did you see New York 11 elected a Democrat? New York 11 is Staten Island, the most Trumpian place in New York City. Elected a Democrat. Don't try to tell me it wasn't a wave. Robert Muller isn't the only person investigating Trump now. We have the House Intel Committee is now chaired by Adam Schiff, and they have subpoena power. And he will use it. And he will get to the bottom of this, like he's been trying to do for the last 2 years, and Devin Nunes has been stymieing him. Devin Nunes is no longer the chairman. The midnight runs to the White House are over. I made a promise to the listeners of East Coast Radio that if the Democrats did not mess up November, that if November 6th went our way, that we would have a little fun here on East Coast Radio. And if you stay tuned, I promise you this. Along with our fighting fascism and trying to save democracy, we will have a little fun. Because we earned it. Keep it locked to East Coast Radio. Remember, we got Dyze in your house at the end of the week. We got the J Parks podcast at the beginning of the week. Every week, East Coast Radio for the least heard voices. Get us on Patreon, patreon.com/JParks, and follow us on Twitter at East Coast Radio. Let's punch fascism in the face. One podcast at a time.
If you don't know what Staten Island is, it's like New York's abortion that lived. Representing Staten Island. Staten Island was no joke.
Hey, yo. Who's in the house? Dyze in your house. What is the word, peeps? What goes on? It is the weekend, and we are back here on East Coast Radio with another action-packed edition of Dyze in your house. What is Dyze in your house, you ask yourself? Well, it's a podcast. It's the vehicle we use to fight fascism. Alexa, tell us about fascism.
Fascism, the radical far-right authoritarian nationalist political ideology.
Yeah, and we don't want that in America, so we're trying to stop it. So we're going to use all the tools available to us. And the tools available to us are our voices, signs we make, and votes we cast. And in that order, we are going to do it. So, there used to be two podcasts here on East Coast Radio. It used to be the J Parks podcast and Dyze in Your House. Dyze in Your House served as a pre-show, post-show prelude to the long-form J Parks podcast. I realized that if nobody's listening to two podcasts, if hardly anybody's listening to one, it's going to be hard enough to get people to listen to two. So we've cut down. The J Parks podcast is on indefinite hiatus, and Dyze in Your House will be the direct vehicle in which we fight fascism here on East Coast Radio for the least heard voices. No, just that's your preamble there. Big week. We're going to talk about rich, spoiled privilege in a couple of minutes. Going to talk about this week in Muller in a couple of minutes. But first, I just want to say that I stand side by side with the people of New Zealand who were victims of senseless gun violence. a mosque was shot up. 49 people were killed. And I understand it was New Zealand. This isn't going to be an America needs to change their gun laws rant, because this wasn't America. At the same time, America does need to change their gun laws. But this goes way further than gun laws here. When will the gaslighting end? And I'm not talking about any manifesto, because these things have not been independently verified. I'm not saying this clown's name. But it goes to show you where we are in America, where when something like that happens, and this person live streamed it on YouTube and Facebook, it's crazy that the internet, like, you can find this video. Like, it gets taken down every time it gets put up, but in real time, you can watch the video being taken down and put up, taken down and put up. What is the fascination with seeing people get shot? It's not personally, I don't get it. It's crazy to me. Yesterday I was going through it. I was with somebody who kept saying, we gotta see this video. Why? Why do we have to see people dying? And like, when Trump holds a KKK rally, an election rally, whatever, they're the same thing. These Trump rallies are they're Klan rallies without hoods. The hoods have been replaced by red hats. And I understand that this didn't happen in America. But America sets an example for the world. And when you have somebody who runs for office based on hating brown people and excluding brown people from America, from our rich white nation that we stole from the Native Americans, when that hateful rhetoric gets popularized, and again, the internet has made the world smaller. So Trump is Trump is a dangerous world leader, a very, very, very dangerous world leader. He's also a meme. Like, if you're not in a country that's America, you think this is funny. And you know what? Rightfully so. America deserves to be laughed at right now. I mean, we deserve a shoulder to cry on, too, because it's sad, but we also deserve the laughter that we're getting right now. This is what happens when you elect a meme. This is what happens when, instead of going to 538 to read articles, you go to 4chan. And the QAnon boards. Or whatever that right-wing Twitter is. Gab. There you go. Gab. That's what it is. What a bunch of snowflakes. So basically, this mosque was shot up because this person sees that brown people are having more children than white people. And this scares people. And I spoke about this a couple weeks ago. The browning of America is something that scares people. Whereas maybe Native Americans saw the whitening of America and they were like, what's going on? What is this? But at the same time, this country, we need to, and any Bible, any religious book will tell you this. You respect each other. No one is saying that somebody Catholic or Christian needs to go to a mosque and, read prayers in the Quran. Nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying that you need to practice this religion. America's based on freedom of religion, which means you can go to your mosque, I can go to a shul, he can go to a church, and afterwards we could all go out for breakfast.
You know? Not enemies, they're not countries. Religions aren't countries. It's not like, oh, it's North Korea. They got bombs. No, they got love and peace. Just like every other freaking religion has. Sick and tired of people I'm sick and tired of white people, man. White time is up. And I understand that I'm a white person, and I understand that in my lifetime, I've been approached by police, and I've definitely gotten less harsh treatment than I would have if I was black. I acknowledge that. I'm not sitting here saying, I'm colorblind. I'm not fucking stupid. I know how this world works. But at the same time, this is sickening. Walked into a supermarket the other day. The person I was with says, you know what's weird? Like, we're the only two white people in this neighborhood, so, like, they think we're the shooters. Yeah. Stereotypes suck, don't they? Don't stereotypes suck when somebody judges you before they know who you are and anything you're about? Isn't that terrible? Doesn't that seem unfair and unjust and un-American? That's an irony that I will let steam out for a little while. Isn't it crazy that they think we're the shooters? No, it's not. Isn't it crazy that you think all black people are gonna rob you? I think it is. Stereotypes are bad. And America needs to move past them. And just because we want to stop stereotyping people doesn't mean that everyone's a fucking snowflake, okay? It's not, oh, PC culture is taking over. It's not that at all. So please stop with that bullcrap. Okay. We got rich white privilege to talk about on the other side when we come back after this. Hey yo, Jay Porks here, recording my own commercials as per usual, but I am here to tell you about going to patreon.com/JPorks, and you have the opportunity to help support Least Coast Radio by becoming a Least Coast Radio head. How do you do that, you say? Well, there are 3 different tiers to choose from, where you can find yourself bonus content, bonus features from the Jay Porks podcast, from Dyze in Your House, from all things Least Coast Radio. Now, what are those features? Well, they're bonus shows. They're getting shows early. They're getting exclusive artwork mailed to the address of your choosing monthly. You can interact with all the hosts here on Least Coast Radio. You can get shout-outs on the podcast. Behind the scenes stuff. That's on Dyze in Your House and the Jay Porks podcast. You get them both here on Least Coast Radio. Dyze in Your House is usually the primer at the end of the week. The Jay Porks podcast is the long show. What we do at the beginning of the week to get you going, to take in everything that happened. But I need some help. And how you can help Least Coast Radio is by following us on Twitter at Least Coast Radio, going to patreon.com/JPorks, becoming a Patreon, becoming a Least Coast Radio head. And, you know, if you don't want to do any of those things, you can smash that subscribe button on iTunes or YouTube, and, you know, you can, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to share the podcast with your friends. So keep it locked to Least Coast Radio for the least heard voices. We're here fighting fascism, saving democracy, but we're also going to have a little fun. Keep it locked. And we are back. Who's in the house? Dyze in Your House. March 16th, 2019. Let's continue on. Talked about a culture a little while ago. So I just want to, and I don't want to spend really too much time on this, but white privilege in America is growing and growing. And we had rich celebrities indicted like Felicity Huffman, like Lori Loughlin, the Aunt Becky from, is it Full House? They've been indicted along with other rich people for getting their kids into elite universities without the kids deserving to go to said elite universities. Now, when this story first came out, I said to myself, well, you know what? This is rich people being rich people, you know? Oh, you can't get into college, okay, but you're going to donate a wing, and you're going to donate to our charity, and we'll name a lab after you, and your kid will get into college. Is that right? No, but that's what I thought was happening. That's not what's happening. SAT scores were being changed. We're changing grades. This is literally this is literally the entire reason why our education system is all messed up. Because we got people without dying for an education who, they got old textbooks, no supplies. You got teachers who teach in the inner city. Got to go to Staples and buy, art supplies out of their own check, out of their own, barely minimum wage that they make as teachers. The thankless babysitting job it is. It's a thankless job. And all teachers, they didn't get into this business to spend their money on watercolors and Jack Daniels. They didn't do that. So we got on one side of the equation, we got inner city kids, we got public schools in America not up to task, and we also have rich people on the other side of the coin. Their kids don't want an education. Their kids aren't interested at all in learning. They don't need to learn. They have rich parents. How about if your parents are rich, you have to go to community college? Why do we keep trickle down education, trickle down economics? All of this stuff doesn't work. And I'm so sick and tired of people trying to explain it. Explain it in ways that, make it okay. Like, the media jumped on it. Not the media. Let me not say the media. The media did jump on it, but right-wing Twitter jumped on it. They were like, oh, you see? Hollywood's real quiet today. First of all right, well, this is what I put it on my Facebook. I put a status on my Facebook about it. And the first comment wasn't, yeah, that's messed up. Wasn't education's all screwed in this country. Wasn't anything like that. The first comment I got on that post was all registered Democrats. Let me just say this for new listeners of the podcast who maybe don't know a thing or two about me. Privilege? Rich privilege? White privilege? Money privilege? Power privilege? I don't care what party, what color you are. That rich people shit is over. That shit needs to stop. Okay? The privilege needs to stop. I don't care who you voted for. Privilege is what is making this country the way it is today. Entitled people thinking they're entitled to things. It's sick. The way it gets. Now, how about I ask you a question? How about, why, listen, there's all this outrage about, rich celebrities getting their children into elite universities. Imagine if there was this much outrage about fake rich celebrities giving their children government jobs in the White House. Shouldn't there be this much of an outrage when fake rich people get their children's security clearances that the CIA deemed that they shouldn't have? Maybe we should be making a bigger deal about that. Because rich people get rich. These are rich celebrities, and you can indict them and arrest them, and I know what they arrested Aunt Becky? Like, you can arrest them, charge them, they'll pay their fine, but at the end of the day, the next batch of rich celebrities is going to find a way to get their children into whatever school they want to get them in. They'll just start paying off teachers at an earlier at a lower grade. That's why I don't work in school anymore. Because I worked in a private school, a Catholic school. You know, one of these schools where you have to pay tuition. And when you have to pay for school, that gives less incentive for, you know, learning. And parents come in and they say, oh, my kid doesn't know. You didn't do this. Well, your kid didn't listen. Oh, not my child. People who send their children to school you have to pay for, they have a sense of entitlement. That same sense of entitlement that these spoiled Aunt Becky and Felicity Huffman people have. I've always said that I think that there should be some sort of college that's free. I'm very liberal, but I'm not sitting here saying everybody in the world needs to be able to go to every college in the world and not pay any money. I'm not stupid, okay? But, like, my tax return got taken by the Department of Education because I owe the Department of Education a little over $3,000. $3,000. Now, to me, that's a lot of money. To me, that's a lot. To people with real student loans, they just laughed so hard that they spit coffee out of their nose and ears simultaneously. They took the whole thing. And we got rich celebrities getting their kids in school changing grades. I didn't need my grades changed. I just needed to be educated. And I wasn't educated enough to get a job to pay back the loan for the education that I never got. It's a sick circle that we call America. So, rich people, privilege, this is nothing new. I'm glad people are getting indicted for it. I don't care what their political parties are, and I really wish everyone else would do the same. If we would stop judging each other on Democrat and Republican, and start judging each other on how much money do you have versus how much money do I have, then we'll start to see a more together America, you know, because there's more of us that aren't well off, that don't have money, that can't afford to pay off a dean of an academic institution to fudge the grades a little bit, to move my kid to the top of the list. And I heard Katie Tur had, was going backwards down the number line on this the other day. Did you see how it was Katie Tur, so I threw in a fish reference? She said that stuff like this is the reason why there's a millennials like democratic socialism. Fair point. I mean, you see stuff like this, rich getting richer. I could see why millennials would poll in a leaning towards democratic socialism. I could see that. It's just crazy, man. And education is key. Education is key in this country. And again, there are people, like, if Felicity Huffman was like, listen, I know my kid doesn't have the grades, but what if I donate all the money I was going to give to you? What if I give it to public schools in the inner city? Would you then let my kid into school? Why don't you help people? Does anybody help people anymore? That's the problem. No one's worried about helping people. We always lock each other up, lock each other off. Borders, blinders, sunglasses, headphones. That's 2019. Everyone's a loner and they want to complain about they got no friends. No. You chose this life. Alright. Really quick. Shifting gears. It's hard to switch gears with the background music, which is why I split it in half here. There we go. Got one right there. Okay. This week we saw a lot of stuff in the Muller probe. On Monday, or was it? It was Tuesday. Tuesday we learned, I think it was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday we learned that it doesn't matter the day, it was this week. Tuesday we learned Paul Manafort will serve an additional 4 years in prison, and he will be in there for 7.5 years. As I'm reading tweets about Paul Manafort's sentence, I started getting notifications that not notifications, I started seeing in the newsfeed, Paul Manafort charged with indicted on 15 counts, and I'm like, yeah, I know, they just sentenced him. No, that was, the U.S. attorneys in New York issuing indictments right after Judge Amy Berman Jackson ruled that Paul Manafort needs to go to jail for an extra 4 years. So on Tuesday, he was facing 10. And he got a total of 4. Well, no, he got more than 4. But some of it is running concurrent. So it's a total of 7.5 years. Yeah, no, he got 4. When they start giving sentences in months, you know these are white people getting sentenced. You know what I'm saying? Rich white people. So she sentenced Manafort, and then New York indicted Manafort on all these fraud crimes, defrauding the state of New York and stuff, banks, loans, stuff like that. Thing about that is that not much of an investigation because Paul Manafort already pleaded guilty to all this stuff to try to get a lighter prison sentence. And also, I mean, state crimes are not pardonable. You can't pardon state crimes. So, Paulie Walnuts, here's hoping you die in prison. Because you know what? Some people just have inflicted too much damage on this world. Like the otherwise blameless life, but the guy also represented dictators. Both of those things can't be true. So, Amy Berman Jackson sent him up the river. Then, the next day, she had Roger Stone in her court. It was like a reconvening of the Reagan the Reagan pollster squad or whatever. Reagan's re-election campaign. It was Manafort, Stone. So Roger Stone goes into court. Now he's got a gag order. Problem with that gag order is that he released a book like the day after the gag order was instituted. But Judge Jackson said that she's not gonna harp on the book. Just gonna, they set his trial date for November, which is a long time from now. And if you guys follow Palmer Report on Twitter, Palmer Report is under the impression that it is possible. Again, this is not, no one's saying that this is a thing. Just reporting to you what was reported to me. Follow Palmer Report on Twitter, but Palmer Report saying so far away from now. I don't think that's the case. But I think that if Roger Stone wanted to cement his legacy as the dirtiest trickster in the political game, then I think flipping on a non-politician after you got him elected, I would think getting someone elected and then getting someone removed would be like the checkmate of it, But I don't. I see Roger Stone spending from now till November trying to go to jail. Because he wants to go to jail, he wants to say he was improperly incarcerated, and he wants to, write another book and do some talk at some colleges, give speeches, make that Hillary Clinton money. That's what everybody wants. Everybody hates, but all these people want to do, Trump, Stone, they just want to make that Hillary Clinton money. They just want to give speeches for $250,000, speak for an hour, and go home. That's what they want to do. And you know what? If Trump wants to do that, he could start right now. We'll take your resignation. We'll be fine with that. It's cool. We don't need you to stick around. Don't do it for us, man. Don't stick around for us. Country would be better off if you went away. And later on in the week of Muller in court, because we get all these, listen, the top FBI prosecutor left the Mueller team. Andrew Weissman is leaving the Mueller team. Weissman's like the LeBron James of white-collar prosecuting attorneys. That's something Steve Bannon said. So, Weissman leaving. We got Bill Barr allegedly has the report. There's a Muller report. Is the Muller report winding down? Well, Mueller's team told the judge on Friday that Rick Gates, who is Manafort's deputy, and Michael Flynn, who's still not sentenced, they're delaying sentencing again because they are still helping out, cooperating with several investigations. Now, we're all, me included, we are all afraid of the Bill Barr burial. We're all afraid of that. Gets buried like the Brooklyn Brawler on an early episode of Superstars. You know, just straight burial. We don't want that to happen. So, on one side, I'm sitting here freaking out. On the other side, I'm sitting here watching Joyce Vance and these people, Chuck Rosenberg, and people on TV, legal analysts, legal people, they're telling me, listen, look at the indictments. You know, it basically tells a story. Also, there are sealed indictments. Also, some of these investigations have been farmed out to other places. Like Paul Manafort had some of his stuff in the Eastern District of Virginia. Michael Cohen is Southern District of New York sentenced him to the 3 years or whatever, 2 years. These investigations are being farmed out to other investigators who aren't under the guidance of a special counsel rule. So some might say, Jay, that's good. I say, yeah, I hope so. Well, if you want me to sit here and say that I'm very confident in the rule of law, after Paul Manafort got less than 10 years for conspiring to defraud the United States, I gotta tell you, I'm not too confident in it. But I can't sit here and complain about it. I can't sit here and cry about it. Here's what I can do. I can promise you this. If Mueller's report gets buried, I will be in the streets with the rest of you. Okay? I promise you that. Also, I promise you this. That if the rule of law, if all of these people, if Trump and his kids and Jared Kushner, if these people don't go to jail and they get away with all of this, then America's over. And then that's it. Then that's the end of America, okay? Then America has been defeated and we need to get out of here. You see the 2020 Dem candidates? I mean, besides like Tulsi Gabbard, I don't hate any of those people. You know? I mean, but we're sitting here, we've got investigations into Trump because he was too stupid to lose the damn election. Really, what an asshole. And Supreme Court found that WikiLeaks is not protected under the First Amendment. That might have some implications on Roger Stone's future and why he has so long to decide if he wants to talk or not talk to prosecutors and stuff like that. Alright. So it was a big week. It's always a big week. Veto. I can't wait till they send that bill back to this clown. The veto-proof bill. So he said it was an emergency. And the Senate was like, and the House and the Senate was like, it's not an emergency. And he was like, no, yes it is. What kind of fucking clown is this guy? I mean, maybe I'm wasting my time asking myself that question. Maybe. Alright. It was a big week. So, Dyze in Your House is every weekend. It's on East Coast Radio. The J Porks podcast is on an indefinite hiatus right now. Because, you know, I've had to pump up the job search a little bit. And, like, 2 podcasts a week, 7 days a week, I'm having trouble finding the 2 days to do it. Like, how far apart I want them spaced. Or do I want one to get buried by the other. So that's why for a little while, we're just going to do Dyze in Your House on the weekends. I will hit a couple of topics. We're going to not have hour-long podcasts. We're going to be under an hour because I'm just trying my hardest to get people to listen. I understand that all I do is talk about politics and rise of fascism and stuff like that, but at the same time, I used to be funny. I still am funny, and I promise you that along the lines of listening to me break this down, I promise you that this is somehow enjoyable to everybody. And at the other side of this, when we come out the other end, if we make it, if democracy prevails, we are going to have like the most fun podcast in the world. This podcast used to be all fun. I can't keep saying, I know like my life hasn't been ruined, but like, you know, my friends are gone. All because of Trump. My life is upended. Change my podcast, lose my job, I don't have anything. Anyhow, what you have to do is just keep it locked to Least Coast Radio. That's at Least Coast Radio on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at JPorks. And every weekend, get yourself a brand new episode of Dyze in Your House. Exclusively on Least Coast Radio.